Christmas, I gave you my heart, but the very
Alrighty.
next day,
Blog Talk. You know, you always get the end of the stick. Because I'm always exhausted by the time we tape your Blog Talks.
Well, I'm happy to be here, so we'll just
And you
energize it
spread
up.
some Christmas cheer to me already. Going to stop by my friends at Germania Brew House and see how the gang's doing. I'm excited. Thank you.
Well, no, thank you. Happy Christmas. It'll be good. It'll be good.
Now, you're off tomorrow, aren't you?
I am off in the afternoon tomorrow.
Oh, you're going to come in today?
Yeah, so I'll be there in the morning.
Tomorrow? Whatever the hell?
Whatever day this is. So
I don't even know when it's airing.
I'll be here on Christmas Eve morning. And
Same here.
I'll see you then.
The gang will be all here. Alrighty. Well, Sydney, it's been a busy year for you,
It has been, yeah, hectic.
but a good year for you.
It's been very good, yeah. So, yeah, busy but hectic.
And with that being said, there's no better way to start the new year with balancing mental health and that work-life balance and helping others with it too. And you are mental health first aid certified.
Way to get there, yeah, absolutely, yeah.
Hey, I'm not always energetic, but I have an avenue. I
impressive.
normally
You
have an avenue.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So I got mental health first aid certified, which means basically I have the certification for 3 years, and it's just like CPR or physical first aid certification, except for people experiencing symptoms or crises in the mental health
See, I don't
realm.
like this. Now you're going to be able to know when I'm under some stress here.
I got you. That's what I said. I said if anyone is ever having a crisis, I got you.
So what does it teach you?
Well, so I'm being a little bit facetious with that. Obviously, like I'm not a professional, but
Honestly, you kind of deceived me.
Thank you. Well, let it be known that I could be, but I'm not. So, but that being said, it was a 9-hour training. So I got there. It was a busy day. I got there. I filled out a couple of forms beforehand, just like some pre-evaluation, pre-work kind of stuff. And then I showed up in 9-hour training, and we basically learned some of the symptoms of an emerging or a worsening mental health challenge.
Yeah.
And a couple of common mental health disorders in the country, and the point is we're not here to treat or diagnose anybody. We're just here to help people get to the next step, right? So
yeah,
that's kind of the goal, is just to help people tide them over and get them to the next appropriate resource.
Well,
so it was kind of about that.
Vitally important because,
Absolutely.
I mean, you never know when that one saving grace is going to be there for somebody having on the brink of
Absolutely,
a mental breakdown or whatever they're going through. So to at least have some knowledge on the warning signs of it's really good. Now, did you learn something?
Oh, for sure. Yeah, I learned a lot and asked a lot of questions. Yeah.
Being serious, it wasn't one of those that you kind of just retained the information you kind of already knew. Like you actually learned some new stuff?
Yeah, so I'm lucky in that I have been, I've been pretty informed on like a lot of mental health stuff. And I think that's part of our generation too. We just know a lot more about it.
Well, you write a lot about it too, so you have to kind of know.
I do write a lot. I'm very passionate about it. So I do write a lot about mental health and that kind of thing. And so it's something that I did know a lot of already, but there's a lot that I learned, and there's a lot too. What do you do when someone's in a crisis? That's a hard question. So no matter what kind of crisis it is, whether it's suicidality or a substance use crisis or, a situation with psychosis or whatever the situation is, it just is a good thing to kind of learn what to even do. Because I think a lot of people find themselves in these situations with someone they love, and they're like, wow, I didn't even
and they make it worse.
Well, worst case scenario, you do make it worse by just not knowing any better. And so that was something and like a lot of people, I was like, why would I need to know this? I'm immune to this. But the truth is, 1 in 5 Americans has a diagnosable mental illness, and over half of us will experience a mental health challenge in our lifetime. So even if it's not you, it's someone you love potentially. So gotta be careful.
And it's so vitally important, Sydney. I mean, it really is. The more that you understand those things, and it's not really to, necessarily save that individual in that dire moment, but at least to maybe get that individual grounded enough to make that next step. And that's really important, even in your own family, because you never know when someone's going to have some event in public or you name it, that you got to kind of be there just to maybe sit down and talk with them.
Absolutely. You just never know. And I think that's one of the things, kind of like physical first aid. You just never know when it's going to come in handy. So it just seemed like something that would be useful.
Well, and with this, I mean, physical first aid's a lot different because you can't really give yourself chest compressions.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying?
true.
But with mental health first aid, it's going to be hard to identify in your own self when something, because I can tell you as someone who has some depression issues, I can I can tell you after the fact, I could see when it was building up, but while I'm living it, God dang, it's going to be 4 weeks of hell for everybody. And that's just kind of how it goes. But I mean, but to understand some of those signs to maybe know, okay, I'm starting to feel this way. It's maybe time to break out of a routine or do something different.
Right,
it helps you too.
Well, and one of the things I want to make sure we touch on, so I'm going to say it right now, but that 988 number, we throw that around a lot where we say if you're in crisis or you know someone who's in crisis or experiencing something, 988 is the one to call. But to be honest with you, I didn't know much about it beforehand. So going into this, I learned a little bit more about how 988 works, because we say call it, but I think that's scary for a lot of people to not know what's going to come next, or text it. Yeah. And so one of the things I learned is that it's like 911 and that you don't have to have a phone plan. You can just call and they will connect you with someone 365 days a year, and they'll just talk to you. And you also don't have to be in crisis to call or text. You can call because you're with somebody else who's having an experience, or because you need some advice, or because maybe you're experiencing symptoms that are building up toward a crisis and you don't want to get to that crisis point.
And we all know as people in some way, shape, or form, and granted, there are very rare cases, not rare, but rarer cases where you don't, but you have an understanding that something's you aren't feeling right. In some way, shape, or form. It might not be that you know that you're angry, or you know that you're scared to death, or you don't know, but you know that something's different.
Right.
So to be able to know that number is available and just say, hey guys, I'm not really in crisis yet, but I know something's going on, that could help you go a long way.
That can go a long way.
And Centerstone actually manages the influx of calls. So if there's too many, their call center actually overtakes those.
That's incredible. We have some really incredible resources around here between Centerstone and Chesapeake.
Well, and Isaac's a nice guy with mental health first aid. I mean, whenever he came on the show, I think it was last year, 2 years ago, it was really fascinating. And to see that they were trying to get it into schools, and it's really growing. Yeah,
Isaac Sandage and his partner Christina, they hosted this training, and they did it, and they were so interesting.
Getting tangled up over
You're all
I'm
tangled.
all over the place.
No, they were so interesting, and they handled, I mean, these are some sensitive topics, right? And definitely, I mean, 1 in 5 Americans, over half of us with a challenge at some point in our lifetimes, there are people in this room that are having some strong reactions to these topics. And so Isaac and Christina, they were very great. They handled everything with great poise and sensitivity, and I just wanted to give them kind of a special shout out and just say shout out to them, because they were wonderful. And we had a really, honestly, it was a serious topic, but we had a fun time.
Now, let me ask you this. Did you realize that maybe sometimes being too serious with that person could make it worse?
It was interesting. I think that there's a time and place, right, for things like that. And depending on who you are and who you are to that person, there's definitely a time where you can add a joke.
There's a realism point to it.
Absolutely. Yeah. We can all be humans about this too. And and that's one of the things we talked about too, is there's no set script with all of this stuff. There's steps that you can follow, and there's advice that you can take about how to listen judgmentally and give non-judgmentally.
Unless you're CJ, then I might judge you a little bit.
Non-judgmentally, or give resources or that kind of thing. But there's no set script or correct way to do it necessarily. It just comes down to being a human being with the person you're talking to and figuring out a way to help them feel better.
Well, and it's a good thing too, because I don't know if it was I didn't even read your article yet. It's been so bit, but I will read it. It's one of those things too, where people's recovery periods from a mental episode. Like for me, I'll be honest, people know I had a major breakdown, and I was for 3 months. I was you could not find me. I mean, you just couldn't. And so it takes time, and it takes a long time to get back to it for some people. And some people can have an episode and wake up tomorrow feeling really, really good and ready to seize the day again. So, I mean, do you talk about those type of things too? Like what that reactionary period looks like, what that come down period, if you will, looks like?
Yeah, a little bit. We talked about just the way that everyone's different, right? Like the way that these symptoms can manifest, and the way that looks for one person, or the way that a crisis looks for one person versus the other person. My crisis is not your crisis, in life. And I think that's a good thing to remember too.
Well, and it's a good point too, because, a lot of times people that have mental illness that they're battling, they're honest about, they talk about it. And I think sometimes they don't realize what they're doing, but it's like, they, like, for instance, I know of times where I've talked about things and it's like, well, with mine, if you had what I had, you wouldn't be able to breathe, or you wouldn't be able to do this. And it's like, but see, now what you're doing is you're saying that your problem's worse than that individual's problem, and their symptoms might be a little bit different, but they're still going through that same anguish. And I think that sometimes as people and I've been notorious for it too, where I kind of, when someone talks to me about something, I go, well, listen, you're talking to a guy who was puking out a window trying to learn how to drive again. in. Like, it was seriously that bad. It was really high anxiety for a long, long time. But then what I did is I negated the fact that individual is still having a problem that they're not used to, and it might not be one that I experience, but it's still a problem.
That's a fine line. And I don't know like the right answer on that.
No
but
one
the fine
does.
line between like being like, this is something I
did,
experienced too,
yeah.
and and not making it about you. I struggle with that in like just all kinds of avenues in my life. But I do think that there's a lot of value about speaking honestly about mental health, and obviously, and like being really open about your own experiences too. Not only does that make your life better and easier and more wonderful, but it also helps other people too in a lot of ways. So.
It really does. Now, how was it just a 1-day class?
Yeah, so it was a 9-day course, and so they can switch it, or sorry, a 9-hour course.
Okay.
Sorry. So it's 1 day, or they can split it into 2, depending on just the instructor and what they prefer. But in this case, it was 1 day, and we just had a full day of activities and learning, and there was a lot of moving around too.
Where'd you do this at?
The Bridge Church in Alton.
Oh, wow.
Not
Do you have
far from
was
home.
it a big crowd?
Yeah, it was probably about 20 people. So
good.
Pretty good, yeah. 20. It was specifically the way I did it. It was through the overnight warming location. We did it for all the volunteers for the locations who wanted to. Were able to do this for free. So it was a really cool opportunity.
That's a good partnership.
It was a really cool partnership.
Now, question, do you think in this, I don't want to, it's not a gotcha question. Yeah. But do you think this truly is going to help you help somebody?
I hope so,
I hate to sound so blunt, but I mean, because sometimes I feel like it's good information, but will it help me in that situation with somebody else? Do you think that?
For sure, yeah. I know what you mean. Yeah, I think it's like in the past, if you've ever been with someone who's having a mental health crisis, it's scary.
It is, yeah.
And it's even scarier if you don't know what to do.
Yeah.
And so I don't know for sure if I will handle this perfectly, right? Like it's hard to handle anything perfectly, but if and when I find myself in a situation where I'm with somebody who needs help, will I handle it perfectly? Probably not, because I'm human and I make mistakes and I have my own stuff, and it's hard to do things perfectly all the time.
Unless you're me.
But yeah, unless you're
no, I'm just kidding. Literally just kidding. I'm just tired.
But that being said, I do feel like I'm much more prepared, and I have a much better understanding of the resources that are even out there, because I think a lot of times people just don't even know what even is available to them.
Would many people be able to benefit from this? Do you have to be a certain type of learner to benefit from this over the other?
That was the cool thing. It was a lot of, so there was some talking, obviously, right? Like some,
I would hope so.
I hate to say, right? I hate to say lecture, because it wasn't like that. It was very interactive. And
it was a conversation.
It was a conversation, and we talked, and we went through some slides, and we also played, not quite games, but activities where, there were myths and truths about suicidality, and it was choosing which side of the room to stand on, and that kind of thing.
That's a very interesting conversation in
itself. It was very interesting.
And honestly, that's one where you need like 2 hours to have that conversation, because I think one statement could really make or break someone's public persona on that.
That's very true,
and I'm serious, because some of those things sound pretty awful to say, but once you explain the reasoning for suicidality and maybe, myths and all of that, it makes a lot more sense. And you could talk about maybe some of the, there's a lot to go into that.
There's a lot, yeah. And that's one of the things that I learned too, is just how layered all of this is.
God, it is an onion. I mean, it really is.
It really is.
For all the times that I get mad at like bureaucrats and politicians go, it's a multifaceted issue. This one is. I mean, this one truly is a multifaceted issue.
There's a lot
comes
going
from a
on.
lot. Genetically, home life, there's just too much.
Well, and that was kind of one of the interesting things that we talked about too, was the intersectionality of that stuff too, and the way that we are influenced by our culture and our experience. And so what one person's crisis point looks like is different from another person's, and that kind of thing. And it was just a really interesting way to like unpack all of it, not just one aspect of mental health, but like a lot of mental health. And it gave me a much better understanding of how to help people before they get to that crisis point. But God forbid, if I find somebody or come upon somebody that I love who are in a crisis point, how to kind of talk them down or get them to the next appropriate resource, right? And that's the most important thing, is just helping people to the next important resource. So
Well, and that's the thing, because at this time of the year, and it happens all the time, and it's not one of those where it's like, oh, you just are trying to fearmonger. See, it does. You see it every Christmas season, especially on the holiday. There is some individual that has a very, very bad day. Yeah, and it happens. And so the more we're prepared to maybe help that person before they make a a big decision,
Yeah.
I think it goes a long way.
The holidays are hard for a lot of people.
They are. Even if you have a great family and home life, it's still for some people very stressful.
I mean, we kind of joked about, but we talked about how I'm listening to River by Joni Mitchell all the time. Like, I get it. It's a hard time of year for a lot of people. And so I don't know exactly when this conversation is going to get out there, if that's going to come before Christmas or after Christmas. But the point being to be determined.
I think this might be a Christmas Eve episode because quite frankly, hold on, just keep going.
Okay,
here.
No, you
keep
take
going
your time.
here.
You take your time. No, but I just think this is a good thing to remember year round, and kind of like all these resources like mental health first aid and physical first aid and CPR and Narcan training and all this stuff. It just is good for everyone to know a little bit about it.
Ow. This will air tomorrow.
Oh, sweet.
Yeah, we're going to air this tomorrow on Christmas Eve because, well, as of now, the luminaries might not be on the show today. So we'll see. Just because we had sometimes when I send emails and things, you know how it goes. Sometimes
it gets messy.
You never know.
What are you going to do?
Hey, we always make it an opportunity, and we'll see what happens.
Absolutely,
But it might be Len, it might be Lev, but Sydney is a part of the Christmas Eve show.
Well, I'm eager to be there. No, it'll be good. I got my Christmas sweater on and everything. But.
Do they have a website?
They do, yeah, and it's linked at the bottom of my article, Mental Health First Aid.
Yeah, go ahead and just throw that right in my face.
No, I'm just saying it's right there if anyone needs it. But it tells you how to get certified too, or how to find an instructor certification class. And I think it's worth it, honestly, being able to do this and being able to just feel a little bit more secure, even if it's just my peace of mind.
This microphone is really trying to fight me today.
You kind of bumped into it there.
Oh, so it was my fault. Okay.
That was all you. Yeah,
okay.
Come on, CJ. But I think just being able to know a little bit for my own peace of mind, I feel a lot better, and knowing that hopefully I can help somebody if they need it.
Well, and I think that if anyone's in a public job, and I mean, even if you're somebody that's, and I don't want to, I got to watch how I say this because I feel like sometimes people think I make fun of them or jab at them for what they do for a living. I don't. You could be a gas station attendant. Go take the class because that's a really good gauge of where someone's at in life, because you get people walking into gas stations that are in very dire straits sometimes that, I mean, really all it takes is being alert to make that phone call, and from people finding out folks that were being sex trafficked to folks that are having very serious crises. I mean, it's things like that to where you can see them in a moment's notice and know, hey, go take the register. Let me go talk to them before they go in the car. You know, and it's things like that that help people. And it's the fact that sometimes folks just need to know that people do actually care. And it's not a patronizing care where it's like, look how good I am helping you, but a true care where it's like, hey, just making sure, I'm not going to hound you. You're an adult, but
right. Just checking in. Right. Yeah. I think there's anyone who's interacting with anybody, right? Like that's the thing. And that's the thing I really want to make sure people get from this is that no one's immune, and that we aren't immune from seeing somebody or hanging with somebody or loving somebody who has a mental health crisis or an experience going on. So it definitely is just reminding that and remembering that we have the chance to help where possible. So just like physical first aid or CPR or Narcan training, you just truly never know. So now I carry Narcan in my purse, I have Band-Aids in my car, and now I have mental health first aid knowledge in my head.
Well, and to the people that go, because I never really was on that side of the argument where it's like, oh, what are you going to do? Keep giving them Narcan? It's like, listen, if I can help that person for the 30 seconds that I'm going to see them with, what if they wake up from whatever and go, God, that really saved my life and I'm going to turn it around, wonderful. And if not, you know what? At least I can go home knowing that I didn't watch someone die in front of me.
Literally.
Yeah, it's kind of where I go. It's just my thought. And you know what? You got to take the help and want the help to get the help. But it's also the point that if you see somebody actively dying, and that's what's going on, you can literally save their life. And regardless of how you feel about what circumstance led them there to it, I think we'd all feel a lot better with ourselves if we go home knowing that person you at least tried to help, instead of just looking there going, that's kind of gross.
Well, let's just acknowledge that we have no idea what the circumstances are. Like, even if you think you have really no idea what someone's life is. And so I don't see any need for anyone to judge anyone about any of that stuff.
I always say the statement, if your closet is about the size of a pantry, then go ahead and say something. But I'm telling you what, when you got one the size of a town square, you might want to be quiet because it just, never know. And I'm really honest about that. And that's why I always talk about all the stuff that I've done and gone through, because people know know about it, so I'm not going to hide from it. You embrace it and you move forward. You know?
And like we said, I think there's value in being able to talk about our past and our experiences too. And I think that allows other people to feel more comfortable opening up in their own way too, which might be the thing that somebody else needs to feel secure and safe and happy one day. So, I don't know. I feel like we're all living in glass houses. So who knows? Who cares what the circumstances are? If you know what I think
funny? You know what I seriously find funny? The people that live in the glass house the most are the ones that think they're the most out there to help people.
Oh, yeah.
You know what? Have you noticed that? The ones that are always posting about helping a nonprofit and doing all the judgiest people I've ever met in my life. And I want somebody to challenge me on that today. And if you think that you're one of those people and maybe it's hitting a little bit closer to home, do some reevaluating, because that's one thing on Facebook next year I want to see less of.
Yeah.
I'm so tired of the how great am I posts on Facebook. Just stop.
Yeah.
Just stop.
There's definitely.
Just stop.
I think
the janitor at Casey's is a great person too. It's just because you donated money because you had it doesn't necessarily make you the best. And I think that sometimes it might be an ego check. Sometimes it might just because you want people to know that you feel good about it, and that's a different thing, because if it truly makes you happy, then post about it.
Yeah.
But when you're trying to make yourself a martyr or a saint, that's what really burns me up.
That was a really fine line with last week's blog for me about writing about giving.
We talked about it because I was telling you to talk about it more, and you're like, no, that's not who I am.
Well, it's just not what the point is. But I think a lot about, we're off topic now, but just really quickly, I think a lot about that Friends episode where they talk about you only do things to make yourself feel better, and a lot of times. And you know what episode I'm talking about? That's
I don't watch Friends.
Oh, good for you. That makes one of us. But no, it's a whole thing. But and maybe that's the truth, that we only ever do things to make ourselves feel better. I don't know. But at the end of the day, if whatever the reason is, if you can go home and live with yourself and know that you're helping another person, that's all we're really asking for in this world, is just to be able to help other people as much as possible.
Well, exactly. So. And you know what? And I'm always going to say this, if that was your child. Mm-hmm. I'm getting a lot of messages today. Have you noticed
busy.
That? I just
You're just popular.
No, don't. You're right. I don't know, Sydney. I just think that it's great that you do these things and learn more, because the more you talk about it, hopefully it gets somebody else to sign up.
Yeah.
And not saying, look at me being good, but you're just raising awareness for a really good thing that's in the county and in the region. And honestly, a lot of school districts are starting to implement their curriculum, which is very good.
Yeah, isn't this cool? I didn't even know this was a thing until a couple of weeks ago.
Don't you say that. You wrote the article from my show.
I didn't read that one, but
I swear you did.
I'm pretty sure I
swear you did with Deborah Humphrey.
Oh, yeah, I did do that.
I know you
right
did.
About that. I did. You're right. No, I knew it was a thing for teens, but I didn't realize that just anyone could get certified.
I didn't know about anybody. I really didn't.
Cool?
That is
just anyone can walk in and take a class.
And think about how many parents right now are very concerned.
Yeah, right.
And let's just be honest. They are concerned because they don't know how to talk to their kids right now, because you don't know if what you're saying is setting them off, or how do you handle it? Are they manipulating you with the falsehood? Those things you can learn in here and really be able to help yourself and your family.
For sure.
Yeah,
you just never know. And kids definitely. I mean, I don't have kids, but I would imagine it's very scary.
I couldn't even imagine right now. Could you imagine? I mean, think about growing up right now.
It'd be hard.
Could you imagine middle school teenager Sydney in 2024?
That would be hard. I'm just telling you.
I mean, with all the things parents have got to worry about,
absolutely.
Take a note and go to one of these classes. Now, what was the cost?
So for the volunteers that did this class,
it was
actually free, which was really cool. But I believe don't quote me on this, I believe it's about 100 or 170, somewhere between 100 and 170 to take this class. But like I said, it certifies you for 3 years, which it comes in handy for a lot of jobs, honestly, too.
Yeah.
And I actually put it on my LinkedIn profile just to say, look at me go. But it's just one of those things that I think comes in handy a lot. And I mean, can you really put a cost on potentially saving someone's life? So.
Well, and too, I think that's going to become one of those things that I'm not saying that that's going to be obviously, because people, they aren't going to look at that and go, automatic hire. But when you look at candidates, you look at folks that are qualified, being qualified to handle people is a good qualifier. And just to be able to know that, hey, you're staying up to date with it's a good thing.
Well, absolutely. And I think, again, just like any of those other trainings, just learning how to be able to take care of other people and help out in an emergency is so helpful for so many. You just truly never know when it's going to come in handy. So that kind of thing will come in handy a lot, I think. So.
Yeah.
It's one of those things. So it was an interesting class, and I'm really glad I took it. I highly recommend everyone should take something like this or do some research or just learn more about mental health in general. We're talking more about it in this generation and this time than ever before, which is wonderful. But I say just continue more. Like, there were a lot of misconceptions in that class that we talked through too, that a lot of people just didn't know about certain things or experiences or myths about suicidality and that kind of thing too. And those are important things to know. So,
well, and the thing is, people for a long time were so scared to talk about it. And it's gosh, you're doing yourself such a disservice. You have to have tough conversations. And if you can't handle them, get out of the room and wait until you're mature enough to handle them, because it's going to happen. And now that we're doing this, I think it's a very good conversation to have. And you're seeing people that, honestly, I'm seeing people that I thought would never, ever have that conversation really start to engage with it. And I think that's a really good thing.
It's really cool that we're able to talk about this stuff.
You know what I'm saying? Because there's people I saw that I'm like, oh dear God, I never thought in a million years that you'd be. You know what I'm saying? It's kind of cool.
Yeah, be able to talk about this stuff. And one of the hardest parts that we did in this class was we practiced. I'm going to talk about suicide really briefly. So I'm just going to throw that 988 number out there and just say that is a great number. If anybody doesn't want to be a part of this conversation, then just skip like 30 seconds ahead. But one of the things we talked about really briefly was that myth of, if you're going to ask somebody if they're suicidal, are you going to cause them to have suicidal thoughts? And the answer is no, you're not. You're not going to put that in their head. What you are going to do is potentially save a life. So one of the things we did is we practiced asking another person, are you having thoughts about killing yourself? Which is such an intense question and such an intense thing to talk about, and it sounds so hardcore.
Well, but you know what? You're right, until you actually have that talk, because I think that so many people have said, oh God, I just want to end it all.
Yeah.
And let's just be honest. And they say that without realizing what they're saying. And I think that there's two different definitions. Or not two different definitions, but two different phrasings of that.
I try to be really careful kind of on
You know what
that
I'm saying?
term.
Does that make sense to you?
No, I get that. Because I think a lot of people, I think we've started to be kind of flippant about suicide.
Yeah, I agree.
And I've been guilty of it too, of, just like, oh, I've had a bad day. Like, oh,
why am I?
But I think I'm trying to be really careful about my words nowadays and remember that, like, this is really, we can't take the seriousness out of this, because this is a very serious thing. And if we talk about it like it's serious, then we can help people before it gets to that point.
It's a snow globe effect too, because you're right. And the more that you as a person maybe don't think that you're going to do it, but you say it out of maybe, I don't want to say a habit, but just a force of lack of vocabulary, just lack of resources, it becomes real. The more you say things internally, the more times you talk about it internally or externally, it becomes reality.
That's
no matter what way you look at it.
You definitely reinforce in your mind, like, oh, like I'm, making a mistake, like, oh, I hate myself today. And
that's
then it's
where
like,
therapy comes in.
You're coming in now. You're thinking of these things actually genuinely now. And so there comes a point just trying to like improve self-talk and improve the ways that I like talk about things in general. I'm trying to be more conscious of that, and words like crazy and insane and stuff like that. Just trying to be a little bit more cautious of throwing those terms around and stuff like that. Yeah,
can I just be honest with you? Everyone I know that's on mental health medicine uses those words and says, I'm going to my crazy doctor.
That's true.
So I think that a lot of times people that don't go through those things think that they're walking on eggshells when they don't have to be.
That's a good point too. Yeah. I don't know.
I'm not saying I'm right. It's just from my personal experience, we've all said it that way, where it's like, oh, I'm going to my crazy doctor today. Now, my family and other friends are different than other people, too.
That's true,
So other folks would say, do not ever say that to me. I am going to a doctor. I'm not, you know what I'm saying? But that's just how we communicate within the confines of who we know we're comfortable around talking about these things.
Well, that comes back to just being this, each person is different. Each human is different. The way we talk to each other is different. And I think it's completely, if having that little bit of levity and that humor about it is like the way that you cope with it and have fun with it, then like shout out, live your best life. But if that's not for you, then that's also fine. So there's no right answer. That's like one thing I'm like, the older I get, the wiser I get, and the more I just realize there's really no right answer to anything about any of this stuff. All we can really do is just be kind to each other as much as possible and help where we can. So this was just an exercise in helping where I could.
Well, and I really think it's such a good topic. I mean, it really is, especially this time of day, because my show's for everybody, and I know that there might be 99.9% of the people that are enjoying the day and having the time of their life. But there's maybe one or two people that are absolutely miserable today because of the loss of a loved one, or you name it, and we're here for you. Know. Call 988 if you need that number, or go to centerstone.org and see all their opportunities that are there for you to help yourself. And if you're not out there looking for that type of intervention currently, it's always out there, but you also learn how to help others and spot those things, like with what Sydney's doing. So with that being said, what is the best way to get all this information?
So the best way, I think, to get this information is to take one of these classes, right? Obviously, which is in the blog. If you go to it, there's a link at the bottom that shows you some more information about mental health first aid in Illinois and how to sign up for it. 988 as a resource, whether you're in crisis or you just need help finding other resources, is a great place to go. In our community, we have Sacred Spaces of Care, too. Which
Megan's great.
Megan's great.
She's busy, but I mean, I always joke with her. I'm like, gosh dang, you're canceling again. But it's because, I mean, there's a need.
There is a need. And that's actually a resource where they actually break down some of those barriers for you and show you exactly where you can go in the area to get some help. And Centerstone, great place. Chestnut, great place. Our hospitals have some really great psychology departments too. So I think we have some really cool resources in the Riverbend. And so just knowing where to go or where to start, call one of those numbers, contact one of those people. Check out what's out there. I have an article out there, Riverbend Resources if you're experiencing a crisis. And that's a great place to go to just learn a little bit more about some of these areas in our Riverbend area. So,
well, Sydney, what's your family doing this afternoon for Christmas Eve?
For Christmas, so we're gonna hang out. We're gonna make some cookies. I look forward to it. It'll be fun. It'll be low key, and I think it'll be.
Are
really
you a
nice.
Christmas Day family?
Yeah, we're more of a Christmas Day family. We're gonna see my grandparents, which will be nice.
That's
we'll
cool.
have some coffee.
How's your grandpa doing? You haven't wrote about him in a while.
Oh, I gotta get on that. I gotta write about him more. No, he's good. Thanks for asking. Yeah.
Awesome. Well, Sydney, thank you so much for your time. Merry Christmas. We'll talk next week.
Merry Christmas.
Daily Show continues on this 24th day of December next.